Ladies and gentlemen, we have begun our descent. Please turn off all portable electronic devices and stow them until we have arrived at the gate. In preparation for landing, be certain your seat back is straight up and your seatbelt is fastened. Please be advised that our captain and co-pilot are very experienced.
The airplane crashes into you and you die!
It's not like they're just rolling dice with your lives. Any sudden turns or movement is entirely planned and not at all a thing to be worried about. In case I don't get to say it later, thank you for flying with Board Game Airlines. Buckle up as we navigate the skies of SkyTeam, paired with the smooth landing of our aviation-themed cocktail. In SkyTeam, you take the seat of the captain and co-pilot trying to land your plane safely. Normally, we would describe how you win, but in this instance, it's probably easier to cover the many ways that you can both lose, as your success is simply landing safely.
I'm having a time!
SkyTeam is a cooperative game of planning for the best, but often reacting to the inadequacies of your partner. It is gripping until the end and has made its way to our table over and over and over, and well, you get the point. So, let's jump into the teach. SkyTeam has 3 main phases: the strategy phase, the action phase, and the resolution phase. In the strategy phase, you can talk freely about what you want to do, where you'll focus your attention, and the various ways in which something could and probably will go wrong. As soon as one of you rolls your dice, you're in the action phase and can no longer communicate. This phase, which we lovingly call the crazy eyes phase, has you and your partner placing one of your 4 colored dice to take various actions, with the captain taking the blue dice and actions, and the co-pilot taking the orange dice and actions. The first player is denoted by the current timeline. Once both players have completed their choice of actions, which we'll go into in more detail in a second, you're in the resolution phase, and will once again be able to communicate, sharing heated words or relieve sighs as you do any cleanup and set the timeline for the next round of play.
Just a small hiccup here, but we are still alive.
So, what actions can you take? There are 2 compulsory actions that each player must take each round. The first is the stabilization action. This action activates as soon as the second player places their dice on their spot. The plane will then pitch, look at us using fancy terminology, in the direction of the higher sided dice by the difference between the 2 dice. The second required action is the speed. Again, this action activates when the second dice is assigned to it, and you'll move your plane forward by adding the 2 dice together and comparing it to the plane's aerodynamic markers, and then progressing the plane either none, 1, or 2 spaces forward on the approach track. On the final round of play, these dice are added together and compared to the break marker, which your combined value must be less than. The captain has 1 space, while the co-pilot has 2 spaces to radio other planes in your path and clear them. Simply remove a plane from the space the number of pips away from you. Before landing, the captain must have deployed the landing gear, assigning the required dice to the 3 spaces throughout the game, increasing the plane's lower aerodynamic marker. Also before landing, the co-pilot must have deployed the flaps in the specified order denoted by the arrows. The co-pilot assigns dice to the 4 spaces, increasing the upper aerodynamic marker. The captain must also allocate dice throughout the game to prepare the brakes in the specified order denoted by the arrows. The pilot assigns to the 3 spaces, increasing the brake marker in preparation for the final round. Throughout the game, both players can assign their dice to get coffee for future use. At any time, the captain or co-pilot can use stored coffee to adjust the value of your dice by 1 up or down. However, this cannot change a 1 to a 6 or vice versa. The action phase is over after you and your partner have placed all 4 of your dice in alternating order. The game is over once you've successfully taken the final round with all requirements met, or you've crashed. That's right, let's show you the rare occurrence of a plane crashing. If you ever move the approach track with a plane in the current position,
You crash and die.
if you ever move the approach track with the airport in the current position,
You crash and die.
at any point if the airplane axis points towards either X,
You crash and die.
if the altitude track moves to the airplane landing but the approach track is not at the airport,
You crash and die.
at the end of the final round, if the plane axis is not completely horizontal,
We die!
At the end of the final round, if there is a plane in your current position on the approach track,
You crash and die!
at the end of the final round, if the landing gear is not deployed,
We crashed and died again!
at the end of the final round, if the flaps are not deployed,
You crash and die.
and when placing your final engine dice, if your total speed exceeds the breaker marker, well, you guessed it.
You crash and die.
Wow, what a surprise!
Nothing to worry about. Landing a plane's not that hard, right? We haven't covered all of the extra landing locations or any of the additional modules included in a flight log. So after your first game, we recommend progressing through each new location and experience these modules one by one, by one, by one, by one. You get the point. This has a lot of replayability. Now let's cover the drink that we've gravitated to through the many, many playthroughs. For this drink, you'll need a lowball glass. Into a shaker, pour 2 parts gin, 1 part white cacao, 1 part dry vermouth, a half part lavender syrup, and 2 dashes of chocolate bitters. Shake it with ice for about 15 seconds and then double strain into the chilled glass. This is a smooth and light sipper, perfect to take small sips between the smooth landing. With a drink in hand, what do we think about the game?
It's a great game.
I love this game.
David, would you replay this game?
Oh, for sure.
This game very much reminds me of a 2-player co-op version of Hostage Negotiator or Final Girl. So David, would you recommend
He
it to
doesn't,
friends?
okay, right. He
Yes.
doesn't want Final Girl.
Kate, would you recommend it to friends?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I would
It's a
absolutely
work of
recommend
dice placement.
This is a brilliant game. Would you buy it, David?
Yes, I want it.
So, there it goes.
And that has been our pairing of Night Sky with SkyTeam. If you want to see more of our content, we have a live playthrough of this game here, and over here we have another of our videos that YouTube thinks that you might like. Thanks for watching and fly safe.